Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're out here with Arwen again today, and it's a decent day outside, so she's just chilling in the sun. She likes the sun, so that's what we're doing today. Chilling in the sun. We're also going to talk a little bit about goat health. We haven't talked a lot about keeping your goats healthy or things, common ailments your goats can end up with or anything like that. So today, that's what we're going to start talking about. We're going to do this over the next several weeks. There's a lot to cover when it comes to goat health, because goats can fall victim to a variety of really serious ailments. You want to get an idea of what ailments they can fall victim to? Go on any Facebook group that's about goats, and you're going to see hundreds of people talking about different things that have happened to their goats, and what should I do about it, and how do I prevent it, and how do I do this, and it gets very complicated very quickly, because there's a lot of things that can happen to your goats. And sometimes groups like that will make you think that goats are always sick, or they're always falling prey to something, or something bad's always happening to them. Maybe they're getting bloat, maybe they're getting polio, which is not like polio in humans. It's very, very different. They just call it goat polio. It's not polio. Okay, it's not human polio. But you might hear the term polio bandied about. You might hear lots of different terms bandied about when it comes to your goats getting sick. And it becomes very easy to think that goats are always sick. And they can be. Okay, they can fall victim to a plethora of serious illnesses. But properly managed goats rarely get sick. Now, every once in a while, no matter what you do, something's going to crop up. But you shouldn't have constant illness or injuries on your farm. There are no guarantees, so you could get the healthiest goat on the planet, and a week after you get him, all of a sudden he's getting sick. It can happen. There are no guarantees. However, if you start with healthy foundation stock, you're more likely to keep them healthy. Okay, if you start with healthy guys, you're more likely to be disease-free. So source your goats from an ethical, disease-free herd. Talk to people. Talk to the owner of the goats. Talk to people who've gotten goats from them before. Talk to people before you bring home those goats. Now, obviously, if you are into rescuing, or if you are into, adopting goats from an ill start in life, you might be prepared to have some of those illnesses and injuries crop up, because that's what happens. But on the whole, you should start with healthy goats, okay? So unless you're experienced in rescuing or rehabbing goats, I do not suggest you get a bunch of sick goats and start from there, even if you can get them cheap. Start with healthy stock. You'll have a better time, especially if it's your first goat, okay? Start with healthy ones. So there are a few keys to keeping them healthy, okay? And some of these are things you're going to be able to do yourself. Some of these are things you're going to need the help of your vet. But one of the things you can do is deworm them appropriately. Talk to your vet about what appropriately means for your area and what dewormers you should use, because they'll know what parasites are common in your area. So the dewormers that work for me may not work for you. Okay, because you're going to have different parasites than I do. We actually tend to have fewer parasites because of our exceedingly cold winters. Those that we do have are pretty hardy and need some pretty specific dewormers. So double check with your vet. You also want to make sure that your goats are vaccinated according to your vet's recommendations. They're the ones who know. Okay, they're the ones who know and can tell you what should be done with your goats in regards to vaccines. Do get the vaccines your vet recommends. They can save your goat's life and make your life a whole lot easier. So do that. You want to monitor their health daily, which means getting to know your goats so that you can spot changes in them and maybe head off problems before they become big problems. Because inevitably, an ignored little problem turns into a big problem that needs a vet. So if you become really familiar with your goats, how they behave, what they do, how they eat, where they go during the day. If you become familiar with their regular routine, you'll be able to spot it when something is off, okay? So you also want to, once you have established your herd, your flock, you want to make sure that your goats don't have any contact with outside goats and sheep. Even if you think they're really healthy, you don't want to bring something in. So Once you have established your flock, don't take them on goat play dates. They don't need goat play dates. They should stay home, be with you. If you are taking them to shows or to 4-H or whatever, you want to have those goats that do leave your property and come back separated from your main herd, just in case they are carrying something. You don't want to make your herd sick. So have those goats separated. My rule is 30 feet for 30 days for quarantining. You do want to make sure you quarantine any new goats or anyone who has been off the property. My rule is 30 feet for 30 days. Keep them 30 feet away at minimum for 30 days from the original flock. You don't want to make your original flock sick. So just be careful. Make sure you're quarantining 30 feet for 30 days is always my rule. You want to, if you do have a sick goat, one of your goats falls sick, make absolutely sure you are separating those sick goats as soon as you notice an illness. Do not leave them with the flock. Okay? You see a goat in your herd becoming sick, move them. Get them out of there. Separate them right now. You do not want to leave him. Definitely separate. It removes any stress from both the flock and the sick animal, allows you to dedicate some time to that sick animal, and allows your vet to attend to that sick animal without having the rest of the herd on top of him. So separate the sick goat. Watch for any other goats becoming sick. You don't want to have that spread, and you're less likely to have illnesses spread if you remove the sick goat at the first sign of illness. So do move those goats if they are ill. Okay, those are just some of the tips for keeping your herd nice and healthy. Make sure they don't have contact with outside sheep or goats. That is my biggest one, because outside sheep and goats may have an illness that your goats are not immune to, and they could carry it to your goats. And the reverse is also true. Your goats could carry something from your farm that your soil has, for example. Your soil might have something, and your goats could carry it to somebody else. So goat play dates are out. Don't do goat play dates. And always remember, quarantine 30 feet for 30 days, just to be on the safe side. That way you don't have to worry about anybody getting sick. And if somebody does get sick, they're already quarantined. And remember to remove those sick goats from the herd as soon as possible. That is about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. Next week we will talk about recognizing the signs of illness in your goats. We'll see you tomorrow.